Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cloudflare Fundamental course. I'm Simon, and in part 4, we are getting into one of the most important topics when working with Cloudflare, DNS settings and the basic terminology. So DNS is backbone of the internet. Is what connects your domain name to your website and email servers. But I know that DNS can sometimes feel confusing. A records, CNAMEs, MX records. What does it all mean? So don't worry, in this episode, I'll break it all in a simple, easy to understand way. We'll walk you through the most common DNS record types, explain what they do, and I'll show you how to manage them in Cloudflare. And if you want to go beyond the basics, stay tuned for our Premium Cloudflare Masterclass, where I'll cover every available DNS record type and show you a real-world use case for each. So sign up at webnestify.email to get notified when it's live. So by the end of this episode, you will understand the DNS essentials every website owner needs to know. So let's get started. So, when setting up your domain on Cloudflare or any DNS provider, you'll come across different types of DNS records. Each record serves a specific purpose, and understanding these will help you configure your website, email, and security settings properly. So let's break down the most important ones. So first record is called the A record as address record. What it does, it will map your domain, example.com, to an IPv4 address. So this core record tells browser where your website is hosted. So when we click add a record, the first default one is the A record. And as you can see, the name must point to an IPv4 address. So in Cloudflare, you can use @ symbol for a root domain, or if you want to use something else like testing, you can add the IPv address 172.0.0.1, but this is the local IP. And the most important part is that if you want to use the Cloudflare security and CDN network, you need to set the proxy status as proxied. That means it will route all the traffic through the Cloudflare servers. So let me click save. It won't work because it is a local DNS. So let me add this one, for example. And the next record type is AAAA record, which is IPv6 address record. It maps your domain to an IPv6 address. So IPv is the future of the internet, offering more IPs and in some cases faster routing. So you can use this record if your hosting provider supports IPv6. So when you go to AAAA record, again, the same principle, you can use @ to point at root or at something else like a subdomain or whatever. And here you can paste the IPv6 address. I personally don't find the need to use IPv6, and I also disable IPv6 functionality on every single server. But if you have those, you can add it there. Next record, which we're talking about, is MX record, Mail Exchange Record. What it does, it tells mail server where to deliver emails for your domain. For example, info@example.com. So if you are using Google Workspace, Zoho Mail, or any email service, you will need an MX records. So how you add the MX records is really simple. You click the add record, you choose type, and you scroll down to the MX. And first you will need to name it as a mail server, and then you will add the address of the mail server. So maybe it can be like Google, and you put mx.google.com, for example. you will need to always check the provider. And priority, that means the lower the priority, it will use this email server. Some providers can have 5 MX records, each with different priority. It serves like a fallback. If the first one with priority 1 does not work, then it will use the different priority. And also, you should never proxy the MX records in Cloudflare, and I think they won't even allow you to proxy. Next DNS record that we are using the most is the CNAME record, canonical name record. It creates alias, it points one domain or subdomain to another domain. So you can point www.example.com to example.com. Or you can point app.example.com to external service.provider.com. So let me show you how you can set it up. So when you go to add a record, you choose a CNAME, and you can use www, and you can point this DNS record to the root. Or if you want to serve www to test.com, you can always do it. But I don't recommend it like this. Another DNS record type which is used the most is text record. It stores text-based information for various services and verifications. So you might have a use case when you want to verify a domain. So when setting up a Google Search Console, Microsoft services, etc. So you can just go add a text record. For the name, you want to set it up for the root. If somebody tells you or subsystem tells you to set it up differently, you will need to always follow their instruction. And you can add anything. This is my text record. You can click save. And text record, you cannot proxy it because it will just serve some text on your domain. And also the text records are used for email authentication. So you might have a SPF record, which prevents email spoofing, DKIM record, which authenticates your outgoing email, and also DMARC records, which tells the mail provider what to do if SPF/DKIM checks fails. So text records can stack, and you can add multiple for different services. It's called CAA, or Certificate Authority Authorization. What it does? It controls which certificate authorities are allowed to issue SSL certificates for your domain. So let's just, for example, enable for the root that we can only allow wildcards for all subdomains, etc. And only Let's Encrypt can issue our certificates for this domain. So you just type let's encrypt.org and you can click save. And as you can see, Let's Encrypt can issue SSL certificates, wildcard SSL certificates. That means it will cover all the subdomains. And I really like to use this because it is recommended for security to limit certificate issuance. So let's talk about TTL, time to live. It defines how long the DNS information is cached by the DNS resolver before they check for updates. So if you set the TTL to 1 hour, for example, like here, any change you make to a record could take up to 1 hour to fully propagate worldwide. So the Cloudflare automatically optimizes the TTL for the most users. So you usually don't need to change this. I like it to use auto, but if you find that it takes a little bit longer than you expected, you can add it to 1 minute, and within 1 minute, it should propagate everywhere. And also really handy tool that Cloudflare offers for free is the DNS Analytics. So when you go to DNS Analytics, you can see all the DNS queries for the domain you are currently managing. And as you can see, you have some total queries done, how much queries per second, and average processing time in milliseconds. And this is really great if you want to see if the DNS is bottlenecked or there are some high latency. And also you can see, you can filter by the query type, DNS key A record, AAAA record, etc. You can see the response code if there are no errors, by data centers, source IPs, and destination IPs. Here you can see the map by the data center. And here you can see queries by source IPs, transport protocol, etc. Personally, myself, I'm not looking too much over the DNS analytics because I know my DNS is working, so I'm not spending time very much here. But if I found that something is taking too much time to resolve, then I go and check the DNS analytics. And I think that wraps this part 4 of the DNS record types. So here are some final tips for your DNS success. A record, CNAME, MX, and text records are the most common records you will use. AAAA is great if your host supports IPv6. The CAA boosts security but is optional. Never proxy email records like MX, SPF, DKIM, DMARC. They must be always DNS only, aka the Great Cloud. TTL is usually best to leave to Cloudflare defaults, but it's good to know what it does. So mastering these DNS records will give you full control over your domain, from pointing your website to the right server, to securing your email and SSL certificates. In Cloudflare Masterclass, we will go even deeper into all DNS record types and real-world use cases, so stay tuned. And hey, if you ever accidentally proxied your email records and your email stopped working, well, welcome to the club. We all been there. So in the next episode, we will dive into the Cloudflare's free email service, a super handy feature that lets you forward emails for your custom domain without needing a separate email hosting provider. It's a fantastic solution, especially for the small businesses, freelancers, and anyone who wants a professional email address without extra cost. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, catch up on the previous episodes if you missed them. I'm Simon, and I'll see you in the next part of the course.